Good morning. Today I'm going to take you along as I harvest my comfrey. You can see I already did it, but I'm going to back up and show you how I did this. And I'm going to show you some best practices that I have learned along the way. I'm assuming since you're here, you know already about the healing properties of comfrey, both the leaves and the root. So I'm going to show you first if you were to do the cut and come again technique and harvest it multiple times throughout the season. For here in zone 5, it'd be like all through the summer, basically until about now, which is late September, maybe early October when the plant stops growing. And I'm also going to show you how I'm going to do my actual final harvest, which is what I'm doing today, which is by harvesting all of the leaves, and then also I'm going to harvest the roots as well. Welcome to True Freedom Permaculture, where I show you all the tips and tricks you need to have a green thumb, even if you weren't born with one.
For this harvest, you will need a garden fork. You will also need a good pair of shears or scissors, and you'll definitely want gloves because the comfrey leaves themselves are prickly and they can be a little irritating to the skin. And you'll also need a basket to collect all your goodies in. So let's go ahead and get started. This comfrey plant, like I mentioned, is early fall, so I'm actually going to just be harvesting everything. You could continually harvest starting in about May or so, here where I am in zone 5, all the way until now. And you would just continually come back and cut. And the cut and come again technique going all the way down to about like 4 inches from the base of the stem. Let me go ahead and put on my garden gloves. So let's talk about timing. As far as timing goes, the best time to do this when you're doing the harvest in like the summer, for example, is going to be like the afternoon. So after the morning dew has dried, or in order to make it especially potent, you can hose it off in the morning. And by doing that, then it will dry and it will have the leaves at optimum efficacy for when you harvest them. Now, because I'm starting to get some dew, we've had some really wet weather, I am not hosing them off in the morning. And I'm just going to go ahead and harvest them now. And if I were doing, I'm going to show you a sample as if I were doing this in the summer where I want the plant to regenerate. So I find that some people just like to go ahead and take like the individual leaves off, but this plant, in my experience, is very hardy and will grow back very quickly. And if you're growing it for a larger root, you are going to want to do it the way I'm going to show you now, which is by basically just cutting this down to about 4 inches from the base, like I said. So that places us about here. Taking the flower and everything off, and it will continue to regenerate, and you can do that just as many times as it offers you. Now here's something else too, is you do want to be choosy. You want to be discerning, and this leaf here, for example, it might be okay, but it's got some discoloration on there. So I'm going to choose the really beautiful dark green leaves, and just make sure that you're choosing the best looking ones because those are going to be the most potent and the best for you. Now this is not going to waste. Comfrey is also a wonderful activator for your compost bucket. So when I'm done with this, I'm just simply going to chuck it in there. So let's continue with the whole plant now because, like I said, I'm just going to harvest all of the leaves right now. Okay, I finished up. So now I'm going to leave some of these as a mulch because it's a wonderful top dressing mulch layer. And the rest of them I've either put into the compost bucket or I'm now going to take off the best leaves and use them for drying. So now it's time to harvest up the roots, and that's at this point that you're going to need your pitchfork. So I'm going to move all the mulch out of the way first. I should have actually just done that. I should have not tossed it on top yet. But I'm going to move that out of the way first, and then we'll pull up the roots. here is a good shot of the comfrey roots. So you can see these black roots, and the black skin, I'll show you when I'm washing these later, is really important to keep on because that's where a lot of the nutrients are in the root. And they come off kind of in clumps like this, and you'll notice that don't worry when you harvest these about the plant not regenerating, because they're similar to like Jerusalem artichoke tubers where like you're never going to get the full root out. And even if you just have like a small piece like this residual in the ground, it's going to regenerate. So don't worry about that at all. And as you can see, it's naturally going to break off and leave some in the ground. And at this point, actually, if you want to spread it, you can take small pieces similar as you would, you know, Jerusalem artichoke or horseradish, for example, and then you can plant them in other areas in your garden if you wish. So now that I've really loosened up the soil with the fork, so harvesting them, prying them up gently has really served the purpose of aerating the soil without disturbing the root system of, like, for example, this nearby apple tree that I have growing next to it. So the soil is nicely aerated, it's not too compacted, and now I'm going to take my comfrey leaves and I'm going to use them as the mulch layer and put them back on so that it is ready for the cooler weather. Okay, at this point I have my comfrey roots and I'm ready to give them a clean. And I'm just going to use the garden hose while we're already outside because there's quite a lot of dirt, as you can see, on them. And all you need is like just a brush like this. And it's really similar as if you were cleaning a carrot that you just pulled from the garden. Again, you want to try not to scrub too hard because you don't want to damage that black skin, and you do want to take the black skin with you, just as another reminder. So let's go ahead and rinse these off and give them a little scrub. Okay, so now we have our freshly washed comfrey roots, and I'm just going to let these dry and chop them up while these are still fresh, because if you wait until they're dried, they get really tough. I mean, really tough. Like, I don't even know if my blender would be able to blend them up. So just make sure that you get them into the size that you want while they're still fresh like this. Now you have your very own comfrey harvest that you can use in your own home.
Well, I hope you all can now enjoy your plentiful comfrey harvest and enjoy these gorgeous green leaves, however you choose to use them in your household, if you do. If you would like me to create a video on how I process both the leaves and the roots, feel free to drop it in the comments below and I will be happy to do that. I will see you all again soon.